I want to, if everybody can have a seat, and welcome everybody to the June 5th, 2019 meeting of the Revere Conservation Commission. If we can all stand and salute the flag, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. First, we'll have roll call. Commissioner Heather Legere.
Here.
Commissioner Ann Raponi.
Here.
Commissioner Joe Laval.
Here.
Commissioner Robert Cassidy. Commissioner Deborah Santiano McCatton.
Present.
And David Etoff is absent. And I'm Chairman Nick Molason. Can I have a motion for the approval of the minutes from May 1st?
I'll make a motion.
Ann makes a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, first item is a public meeting for I'm sorry, actually I want to give a point of personal privilege to Joe Laval. He's got something he wants to say.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For the second time this year, I have to acknowledge the sad passing of a former member of the Revere Conservation Commission. Paul Mazzoni worked for the city for many years. He worked in the school department. That's how I first met him. He was a bus driver, and he sat next to me as a colleague on this commission for many years. He was well-liked and well-admired by everybody who knew him, and I'd ask the members of the board to have a moment of silence in his honor.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Commissioner. So first item is 1061 Winthrop Avenue, Joseph Lorano. Just name and address for the record, please. Just turn that on for me. Just
Joseph Lorano, 1061 Winthrop Ave.
What we have here is Joe's looking for a negative determination. He's actually, he owns the house. He's remodeling the kitchen, and because he's in the flood zone, they want him to come and see us. There's not doing any impact to the earth. He's not changing the footprint of the house, so we just want to give him a negative determination so he can get his building permits to finish remodeling his kitchen. So, do I have a motion to give him a negative determination?
Yes, I'll make the motion to do that.
Ann makes the motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by, we'll say, Toby Cassidy. All in favor?
Aye.
Joe, if you hang tight 2 minutes, I'll give you a copy tonight, all right?
Okay, thank you.
Next item on the agenda is public hearing for Mass DEP File 0610725, Northern Strand Community Trail, an amended order of conditions due to an appeal by Mass DEP after the MEPA process was done. If you guys can come up, name and address for the record, please.
My name is Andrea Kendall. I'm with LEC Environmental Consultants, and with me tonight I have Joe Rubino and Elise D'Onofrio, engineers with Stantec.
If you can just do me a favor, put that stand easel there, facing that camera. So put it in front of the rope, kind of on an angle facing that camera there, so he can get it on TV. Turn it just a little bit more towards for that camera. That'll be perfect. Thank you. All right, do I have a motion to open the public hearing? Ann, you want to make the motion to open the public hearing? Ann makes a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Joe Laval. All right, so let's talk about what our changes were that we talked about yesterday, please.
Oh, I found my other.
So I just want to back up. We were before the commission on March 6th, where we presented the project. An order of conditions was issued that night. Coincident with that process, Stantec had submitted an ENF to MEPA office, and DEP at that time took a closer look at the site plans. They did not provide any comments during the original notice of intent submission, but when they took a closer look at the project, which included the town of Saugus and Lynn, and as well as Revere. They brought up broad stroke comments relative to stormwater management, impacts to coastal bank, albeit temporary for the most part, and other stabilization issues. So DEP, during the 21-day appeal period, issued a notice of appeal on the order of conditions to both Saugus and Revere. Lynn was still in the early process. We had not yet had a hearing, so they did not issue an appeal for that. Their comments, as I mentioned, were related to stormwater management, coastal bank impacts. What the changes were in Revere are actually quite limited, what we were required to do. And we conducted a site walk yesterday with a few members of the commission to go over, generally speaking, the changes. What I did not realize were where some of those specific ones were, but I want to convey to you that the area south of Route 1, we did not actually walk to, but that was the area where the trail was aligned to avoid coastal bank impacts. Other features, we were able to see that there is quite a wide vegetated buffer. The DEP requested that we provide 4 feet of vegetated buffer between the edge of the trail and any wetland resource area, whether it's bordering vegetated wetland or coastal bank. So we were able to achieve that. Not much changes in Revere on that scope. Did I catch everything, pretty much? Anything else to add? So that's, the plans were submitted as well as a letter explaining the changes to the commission.
Okay, thank you. Any commissioners have any questions? I know myself, Joe, and Deb were out there yesterday, and it's a place I've never been, and I'm actually kind of shocked that that's in the city. You don't believe that's in the city, but it's a great area. So basically what they're doing is they want to have them have some more vegetation in between from the trail out towards the resource area. So we walked it yesterday, and they're pretty much, it is what it is. It's got to be done. So we just needed to amend the order of conditions. So do I have a motion to approve the order of conditions, the amended order of conditions?
I'll make a motion.
Do I have a second? I'll second. Seconded by Robert Cassidy. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
I'll make a motion.
Ann makes a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Heather Legere. If you hang tight 2 minutes, I'll give you the signed amended order of conditions.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Joe, here you go. All right, next is a public meeting, request for an extension of an order of conditions, Mass DEP file number 0610690. It's 90 Ocean Ave. I don't know, is Rick Salvo still here? If you want to come up, just name and address for the record, and I can explain it. Basically, all it is, we issued them an order of conditions already, but the ownership has changed hands. So they're looking, because construction started later than they thought, they just want to extend the order of conditions so they don't need to come back in 2 years to get an extension now. They just want to do it now and get it over with. So I have no problem issuing the extension for the order of conditions. Do I have a motion to do that? Does anybody have any questions first? Any commissioners have any questions? If we have no questions, do I have a motion to approve the extension of the order of conditions?
I'll make the motion to approve.
Ann makes the motion. Do I have a second? Do I have a second for the extension of the order of conditions?
I'll second.
Seconded, Heather. Hang tight, I'll give it to you now.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you. Next is a public meeting for the termination of applicability for the MBTA, C.W. Layton Consulting for Vegetation Management. Is anyone here from C.W. Layton? No? Commissioners, this is just another, something they come up to us every few years for vegetation management for the MBTA along the railroad tracks and everything, so they're looking for a negative determination. They don't necessarily need to be here for that, but do we have a motion to approve it for a negative
I'll make a motion to that effect,
You make a
Mr.
motion,
Chairman.
Joe? Thank you, Joe. Do I have a second?
Seconded.
All right, so that we'll take care of afterwards. That. You guys can sign both of those, please. You gotta sign those too. Motion. Next is public hearing notice, notice of intent, Mass DEP file. I know there's no number yet. I looked this morning. For global companies, 96, 100, and 140 Lee Burbank Highway. Installation of above-ground product lines and decommissioning of existing underground product lines. Do I have a motion to open a public hearing?
I'll make a motion.
Who was that? Toby?
Yes.
Toby makes a motion. Do I have a second?
Second it.
Seconded by Ann Raponi. Name and address for the record, guys, please.
Tyler King with CHA Companies.
And Gabe Crocker with CHA.
Tyler, if you can just give us an explanation of what we're doing. I know we did a site visit the other day, but I want to explain for everybody else. Please.
Yeah, so as you can see, the project is in between the Chelsea River and Lee Burbank Highway, Route 1A. What we are proposing to do is abandon some of the existing underground product pipes and just install new above-ground product pipes in order to it'll help with monitoring. If anything needs repair or maintenance, it'll just be more environmentally friendly and sound. We are in a few resource areas. We have Riverfront area. We are in a FEMA flood zone AE with a base elevation of 10 feet. And we are bordering on a bordering vegetated wetland. And we are proposing disturbances within the 100-foot buffer and the riverfront and the FEMA zone. They were delineated by Wetland Prevention, Inc. They did it in 2010, and they went back again in 2018 and flagged all of the areas. We have not much disturbance. It's going to be limited to just foundations for the pipe supports. The above-ground pipes are going to be supported with foundational piers with structural steel above it, carrying 6 pipes, approximately 700 feet southwest to northeast and 250 feet south to north. And this is being filed as a limited project under the Wetland Protection Act as a utility upgrade. We're not proposing any impervious area as the site is majority impervious, and we're not grading. We're not proposing any drainage alterations or anything of that nature.
Thank you, Tyler. I know we were there Saturday, Joe, and what they're doing is preventive from something happening that they can see right away. God forbid a pipe breaks or something, they're going to see it right away. Right now, everything's underground. Something breaks, they're not going to see it for a while, so we want to protect it before it gets out there. So I think it's a good thing that they're doing. Do I have a motion to approve the order of conditions? Do you have a question? Or anyone have any questions?
It says the proposed above-ground product lines will be installed in groups of 6, spanning approximately 700 linear feet. So how many product lines will there be?
There will be 6 total.
Okay, so why does it say groups of 6?
They will be grouped in 6.
So it is just 6. That's all I want to know, if it's 6. Okay.
Yeah.
Also, how are you going to go about decommissioning the underground lines?
They will be cut and capped where they connect today, and they will be slurried in place with a concrete type fill to get rid of anything inside and make sure that there's no settlement or anything due to the empty pipes there.
So these are carrying fuel from the barges to,
Correct.
okay. Thank you.
Any other commissioners have any questions or anything?
Just an acknowledgement, when we went on the site inspection, in a place where you wouldn't expect to find very much vegetation or wildlife, I saw an osprey, a bunch of terns, an egret, and some wetlands. So it's amazing what you can find in some of the weirdest places around the city. And to that, in that vein, I've also acknowledged that you people are going to do some removal of some of the old pilings and piers. We got an acknowledgement from the gentleman that walked us on that site. And we're going to incorporate, Nick, are we going to, Mr. Chairman, are we going to incorporate that in the order of conditions?
Yeah, I remember we talked about it on Saturday, the old pipes that are on the piles, out there on the piers, we're gonna take rid of those and get rid of some of those piles that are there.
Yep. So those pipes, they're not on any of the properties that are mentioned in here. Eric did mention that he would remove those pipes. As the condition, we'd like a little leeway, as we don't know exactly what it's going to take to get permitted. So I know he said he'd be done with this project, but we'd like to just make it a condition that it will happen.
Yeah, we'd like to see the pipes removed. If it gets to that process and it's some sort of an issue that's going to be a little bit more extensive, then we'll come back to the table and figure out what we need to do. But if it's an easy something that's easy, if we can do it, I'd like to get it done right away. Part of this process.
Just a point of information: are you expecting a problem from DEP to remove those?
Well, the pipes are situated over the water, so it could potentially be an Army Corps or a Chapter 91 because it is above a flowed tideland. So it could be a more extensive permitting process than just an order of conditions.
They're not used now. They're abandoned, correct?
Correct.
But the reason why I mention is that most of the time it's a problem of trying to get somebody to remove old pilings and stuff, not constructing it. There's an opposite problem here.
Yep. Yeah, no, he has agreed to remove them. It's just a matter of timing on that. It's just going to be permit pending what the time frame will be.
Okay, then, yeah, I can live with that.
Okay, all right. Any other questions from any commissioners? No. Do I have a motion to approve the order of conditions?
I'll make a motion to that effect.
Joe Laval, do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Toby Cassidy. All in favor?
Aye.
Do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
I'll make the motion to close.
Seconded
Second.
by Joe Laval. All in favor? Once I get the DEP file number, I'll mail you guys the order of conditions. I just got to wait for that. All right,
Okay.
but we're all set. All right, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Sign the signature page. It's the two signature pages. We'll at least get those signed. Next is public meeting request for determination of applicability, 1141 Revere Beach Parkway. Car wash and donut shop project that's happening at the old Plaza Garibaldi. Name and address to the record, please, sir.
Hi, Peter Blaisdell, Williams and Sparagus, 189 North Main Street, Middleton, Massachusetts, representing the owner. Also with me tonight is Joe Coppola. So if there's any questions I can't answer, Joe sure can answer them.
Yeah. How are you, Joe?
Good.
So we were here Saturday, myself, Joe, and Commissioner David Etoff. This area has now become in the flood zone when the maps have changed in the last couple of years, but there's no elevation determination. So talking with DEP, because they did email me the other day, the DEP might at some point, if we issue a negative determination tonight, we're fine with us, DEP might ask you to get an order of conditions through them. As of right now, I told them that we're satisfied because you got 3 catch basins on the property. You got all kinds of landscaping around the property that's gonna do what we would ask you to do anyways. So I don't see any issues from our point of view. So we're gonna want to just keep in mind that DEP might ask you after the fact. They might appeal it and make you get an order of conditions through them. But
That's fine.
yeah, so we'll cross that road when we get, you guys cross that road when you get to it, so. If you just want to give a little scope, a description of what is happening here for the commissioners.
All the commissioners get a chance to come down and see the site, or if not,
Not everybody did. It was just myself, Joe, and
Okay.
Commissioner Etoff.
I think everybody knows the site's been there for probably 35 to 40 years, and it's been a variety of different businesses, from restaurants, pizza places, that type of thing. In recent years, the building's run down in very poor condition. Parking lot's been in very poor condition, that type of thing. So the plan is to come in and renovate the building, add a couple of new, hopefully successful businesses in there. I think everybody knows the Barn Car Wash. Also a Dandy's Donuts drive-through. Yeah. I've never had the pleasure. I guess I'll have to try one. Also, we're going to basically repair the parking lot, flatten it. We're actually going to reduce the amount of impervious area by about 700 square feet with some additional landscaping, that type of thing. All the utilities and are all been taken care of. We've submitted drawings to Nick Rice from the city. I believe the building permit was already issued. Building permit was already issued from the building department. And as Mr. Molessen mentioned, there has been a 100-year floodplain here for quite some time on the old maps. However, I'm sure you folks have been dealing with these maps for years. Sometimes they don't make any sense, and especially when somebody draws one on there, it doesn't seem to have any math behind it. There's no base flood elevation for this, nor has there ever been any evidence going as far back as 1980, according to Joe's mom, has ever seen this type of thing happen. Even during the Mother's Day storm of 2006, the water didn't come up to this area. So it is a floodplain, which is why we have to come before you. However, we feel it's probably not a real floodplain. It could be a 500-year floodplain, but there's certainly, it does not.
Which again, I feel the same way. I don't think it'll ever, and talking to Joe on Saturday, his family's owned the property 40 years almost, so. If we get a negative determination tonight, like I said, it might still be an appeal from Mass DEP, so you guys can handle that when it comes to it.
That's fine. We'll take it one step at a time.
So Joe, I know we were there Saturday. I don't have any issues. I don't know if you got any other questions for him that you thought of since Saturday.
Actually, just something I was in passing now, we were just talking about. What's the elevation, the floodplain?
So it doesn't have one. It doesn't have one. It's just a, let's see.
Yeah, it says it's in the floodplain, but it doesn't give an elevation.
Can I come up to you, Mr. LaValle?
Yeah, go right ahead.
That. The reason why I mentioned that is, and I talked to this gentleman at the site inspection, right across the way where the Home Depot egress is. That's been a tough spot when there are real high tide, king tides in the winter and everything. I've noticed that the water actually encroaches right in the corner of that area. Now, the drainage from this site, does that go across, does it go underneath the road and into the marsh area on the other side?
It does. We're not 100% sure how it gets there, but there are swales and trenches and catch basins.
Are there flap valves?
No. Are there tide valves here?
Tide valves?
No, they're not.
No.
This I believe does dump across the street to Chelsea Creek, but across the street is not where Home Depot has their entrance or exit. That's all.
That's further down.
It's further down. So this right across the street is marsh.
And on the property, of all the catch basins there is one. There's a swale that goes under the parkway. One of the catch basins goes across. All the other ones are tied together and don't go into that same area. It goes to a 24-inch pipe that's that's going under, not under the parkway, but along the parkway.
Yeah,
Where it goes, I don't know.
There's drainage that runs up and down the road too, and I think it might go further, it's everywhere. I mean.
This project has catch basins for the parking lot, correct?
Yes, we have our own, and we think we're cleaning them out, and, yeah.
And if I'm not mistaken, there was even a grease trap because there was a restaurant there too?
Yes, we've added.
And that's still going to function as a grease trap?
Correct.
In as much as do they cook the donuts? Do they make the donuts, bake them there?
Yeah, that will discharge to the sewer, as you know, that doesn't go into the drainage system.
Okay,
That has to be separate.
that's right, just a parking lot then?
It's just, yeah, and we're not, like I said, we're not doing anything except basically taking and just grading it and then repaving the areas that are in bad shape, which, as you can see now, it's kind of up and down.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Mr. Lavelle.
Any other commissioners have any questions? Do I have a motion to issue a negative determination? Any of the commissioners ever make a motion?
I'll make a motion to do so.
Ann makes a motion?
Second.
Seconded by Joe Lavelle. All in favor? If you guys hang tight 2 minutes, I'll give it to you. I'll give you the signed copy tonight. All right, Joe, want to sign those? All right, hang tight 2 minutes, I'll give it to you once I sign it, all right?
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much, sir.
Next is a public meeting for notice of project change for Waterfront Square sediment removal. Name and address for the record, please, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. Joe Pisnola from Hancock Associates, representing Eurovest Development. We were here back in December of last year for a notice of intent for removal of sediment from the Eastern County ditch from Route 1A through Revere Street to the second crossing of North Shore. And after the commission granted an order of conditions at that time, and we then got into discussions with the Army Corps of Engineers, because Army Corps of Engineers took jurisdiction to this area. So we've been working back and forth with Army Corps over the past 5 or 6 months, and they've asked for some changes to the plan, which we now want to bring before the commission. We think they're all positive changes from the standpoint of protection of the resource area, and I'll go over those briefly, but we'd look for this change to be accepted by the commission administratively. Essentially, the first change is they changed the name of the plan from flood mitigation to sediment removal, because they felt that that was more in line with what we were doing, and it is. We're doing sediment removal from the Eastern County ditch. They asked us to put the stockpiles, which we had shown. Essentially, when we take the sediment out, we need to stockpile it to dewater it and let the water run back into the ditch. They asked us to move those closer to the ditch so that the dewatering would happen directly into it. One of the other major changes was the inclusion of mud mats in case they started to rut with the trucks and the machinery. They wanted us to implement mud mats to not have any rutting, so therefore there's less to repair when we pull back out. And the last change was just a slight increase in the amount of sediment that we are removing from about 400 cubic yards to 637 cubic yards. So all those changes are on a plan that we submitted to the commission, revised through May 9th of this year. And we would just ask if the commission could pen a letter that accepted the changes administratively, noting that revision date.
Thank you, Joe. Any of the commissioners have any questions? This is a kind of self-explanatory. They're just making them change a little bit, and they're taking a little bit more than what they thought. They want them to take on more settlement, so I'm going to issue them a letter saying that we approve it if everyone's in favor, if that's okay. We approve the changes. Do I have a motion to approve that letter for me to write for them?
Make the motion to approve
Ann makes a
the
motion, I have a
changes.
second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Leger. So Joe, I'll get it typed up tonight or tomorrow, and I'll get it emailed over to you, and I'll mail you the original if you need it. All
Excellent.
right?
Thank you all very
sir.
much.
Thank you. Next, we got Revere Beach Partnership, request for determination of applicability. This is for, I don't know why DCR, if they've done it in the past or not, but we'll take care of it this year. Obviously, they're dumping 350 tons of sand on the beach for the Sandcastle event, and they're going to be putting up 2 tents. So we just need to give them a negative determination that they're not impacting anything that needs an order of conditions from us. So if you can just have name and address for the record, and then we'll.
Erin Lynch, and I'm the Executive Director of the Revere Beach Partnership.
So so basically it is that they're going to dump the sand, 350 tons of sand. They're setting up the 2 tents. 1 tent is used by the sculptors. The other one is for the VIP tent. They just need a negative determination, so they don't need an order of conditions. Do we have any
Mr.
questions?
Chairman, yes, I have questions. Is the location a different location than last year?
No, it's the same.
That
So
was,
it's in between Beach Street and Chester Ave.
okay. And second question, who determines where the sand goes? I mean, you got the whole length of the beach here. Is there one particular point that you just put it where the castles are now, where they're constructed? Or do you move it around to another location? Or does somebody from the state determine which area of the beach might need the sand more?
After the event, you mean?
Yeah,
Once
after.
they take it down, DCR handles that.
Oh,
the
they do?
Yeah, the Revere Beach Partnership has nothing to do with it once
Well,
it's
I
done.
would
So you're
taking the sand away?
basically asking us permission to leave it there, and then DCI will decide where to put it?
Yes.
Okay. Just wanted to make
Yeah.
sure then.
If
Any
I-
other questions, Ian?
Yes, I do. Through you to the speaker. Is this a repeat of what we approved last year for the Sandcastle?
Did they come in front of us last year? I don't remember it for some reason, probably. Yeah, it's the same thing.
Same thing.
It's a cookie cutter of what we do every year.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's what I wanted to
Yeah,
know.
nothing's
Thank you.
changed.
Thank you.
Yeah. Right, so do I have a motion to issue a negative determination?
Make the motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. If you hang tight, not
Thank you
even
very
5 minutes,
much.
I'll give it to you
Thank you.
tonight. Yeah. Know if we can sign those? Joe? All right, so that's that. All right, so next is 50 Sherman Street. If I can have you guys come up, I want to talk to you guys about some issues you guys have there. So as you guys know, you're in a flood zone. You guys pay flood insurance for that house, right? You guys are in a flood zone and you're close to the creek that's out behind you. You guys decided to pave your driveway without permission from the Conservation Commission. I don't know who told you you could, but you need permission from the Conservation to do that.
We talked with the DPW before we did it.
Okay, so did they give you something in writing saying that you had permission because?
No, the superintendent came down to check our house and he said everything looked fine. So
Okay, when did he come down?
He came down Monday and he
Okay.
said the whole street, there's nothing wrong with it. So
Okay, well, the problem I have is you guys are so close to the creek out back and you guys have kind of changed the pitch. I have pictures from before it was paved and pictures after it was paved. You guys paved right up to the front steps, so now the water just runs right off out into the street into other people's property, which can't happen. So I'll talk to the DPW superintendent. Is that his card there? Is that Paul Agenzio?
yes.
Okay. I'll talk to him and we'll come up with a solution somehow, but I don't mind you guys paving the driveway, but it should have been done with a pervious pavement that the water flows through, so the water doesn't go to other people's property and out into the street. Because come the winter time, the water that comes out into the street is going to freeze and the street's going to be ice. And the other problem I have is, which is a little bit of an issue for conservation, is you guys were parking cars out behind the building, close to the creek. Has that stopped?
Yeah, that stopped. It was just because we were paving the driveway, so they moved the car in the back.
Okay, okay. All right, I'm going to talk to the DPW commissioner and see what he says. as of right now, I'm not happy because the water is going on other people's property. So let me talk to him and let's come up with a determination of what we can do to fix it. I don't know if any of the other commissioners have any questions about this, but I want to just make sure everybody's happy down there and everything's done right. All right, so I know I don't know who was calling me, whose cell phone number I have. Was it you? Yeah. I'll talk to Paul tomorrow, and then I'll give you a call tomorrow afternoon and figure out what we can do for you guys. I don't want to...
Just point of information now, is this new house?
It's not a new house.
It's a new driveway.
No.
New driveway.
I mean,
There was an existing driveway there before?
It was gravel before.
It was gravel before.
Yeah.
And asphalt too.
It was asphalt before.
Well,
these
gravel,
are the
asphalt.
pictures. These are the pictures from a couple of years ago. So that's mainly dirt, which the water can flow through. My big issue is this. If you look at your front step there, which is what it was before, and then you look at your front step now, you guys brought the asphalt up to the front step. So what that means is that the water's running away from the house into the street into other people's property, which can't happen. You can't, I don't know, nobody in the city, anyone with new development that puts in a driveway, I don't allow them to use regular asphalt. They need to use something that's pervious, that the water flows through, so it doesn't cause any problems. But let me talk, like I said, I don't want to cause anybody any grief or aggravation, but I want to make sure it gets done right. So I'll talk to the DPW commissioner tomorrow, and I'll give you guys a call. Yeah, sure, I thought I gave you some. All right. All right, but we'll put everything on hold for now, and I'll talk to the commissioner tomorrow, and we'll be in touch. All right, I'll get in touch with you guys. Thank you for coming. I appreciate it. Okay. That is all our items on the agenda. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Heather Legier. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you very much.